Is the White House concerned that Major League Baseball is moving their All-Star game to Colorado, where voting regulations are very similar to Georgia?
Well, let me just refute the first point you made. First, let me say on Colorado, Colorado allows you to register on Election Day. Colorado has voting by mail, where they send to 100% of people in the state who are eligible applications to vote by mail. 94% of people in Colorado voted by mail in the 2020 election. And they also allow for a range of materials to provide, even if they vote on Election Day, for the limited number of people who vote on Election Day. I think it's important to remember the context here. The Georgia legislation is built on a lie. There was no widespread fraud in the 2020 election. Georgia's top Republican election officials have acknowledged that repeatedly in interviews. And what there was, however, was record-setting turnout, especially by voters of color. So instead, what we're seeing here is for politicians who didn't like the outcome, they're not changing their policies to win more votes. They're changing the rules to exclude more voters. And we certainly see the circumstances as different. But ultimately, sorry, let me add one more thing. It's up to Major League Baseball to determine where they're holding their All-Star game.
Okay, a quick one from a colleague who could not be here. You're talking about the new vaccine eligibility deadline. Mm-hmm. Is the supply ramping up quicker than expected? And if not, what does moving the eligibility deadline up actually do in practice? Like, are more people going to get vaccinated faster?
That's our hope, absolutely. And we have expedited the supply. So there's been nearly 90 million doses provided to states in just the last 3 weeks. And that certainly is an increase over the weeks prior. That's part of it. But also we want to provide clarity. We're at the point with our supply and with our distribution to states that we think it's time to provide that level of clarity. Now, it's not just about the vaccine supply. We've also increased the number of pharmacies, more than doubled the number of pharmacies that are distributing the vaccine. We've also increased our commitment and our funding of community health centers, of mass vaccination sites, because we also know people need to have places to go, mobile vaccination vehicles, et cetera. All right. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Kelly.
Yes. On the vaccines, is this about leading governors to move more quickly, or is this about reacting to what governors have already done? Because most states had already moved their eligibility. Mm-hmm. And it sort of seems like the president is now affirming a date that for many people was already the real
And he had called for them to move this date forward a couple of weeks ago. So he had also called for the date to move forward from May 1st as well. So he is certainly confirming for the public that everyone is eligible around the country. That is a great deal of clarity. They don't have to go to their local state website and see when they're eligible. They know that they are eligible on April 19th. Every American out there who is not vaccinated. This is also part of the effort here, and part of what he'll be conveying later today, is to communicate to seniors and people who have seniors in their community, maybe members of their family. This is the time to go now to ensure seniors who are your loved ones, your family members, people in your neighborhood, to go now, because the lines are going to become longer. There are going to be more people waiting, so he'll also be sending that clear message.